Alright, pilots. Nick's coming back with another guide for you. And we're finally there. We're ready to take our A-10C2 and start dropping munitions on combatants. And we'll start off right here in the air. So we've got our keybinds, we've got some terminology. We know how to cold start and get all of our systems up and running. We know how to taxi, take off, fly the circuit, and land, and we've been practicing. So we are extremely comfortable in the plane now, and we're ready to start utilizing our munitions and persecuting enemy combatants and enemy equipment, and keeping all of our boys on the ground and in the skies as safe as we possibly can in our Warthog. So tonight we're going to start right with going into CCIP dropping, or dumb dropping. CCIP stands for Continuously Calculated Impact Point, otherwise known as dive bombing. And we're going to show you how to set up your weapons and drop them on the target. Now there's a lot of different ways to do it, and there's a lot of other systems you can use to drop bombs, but because these are beginner guides, I am just going to show you how to quickly get your weapons ready and put them on the target successfully and get you in the skies and get you bombing your targets and getting real happy about it. That'll boost your self-esteem about it. You're going to get even more comfortable with the plane when you start getting warheads on foreheads, as they say, and it's just going to make your whole experience start coming together. You can learn some of the more detailed things like setting up profiles for your weapons, which is not super complicated, but it can cause some workflow issues that can cause you to make mistakes. So today we're just going to drop some bombs. And we're going to do it the easiest, most simplest way. So first we're going to look right down here off of our right shoulder. You can see this airfield down here. We've got some targets down here. And we're going to drop some bombs on them. We've got some buildings, we've got some armor, we've got some personnel, we've got some underground bunkers that are really hard to damage. And we're going to persecute these targets. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to drop some Mark 82s, 500-pound. Standard slick iron bombs. You're going to utilize these a lot. We're going to see if we can drop some bombs on some barracks here. So if you look at our plane, you can see that we've got 6 Mark 82s. We've also got 2 CBU 97s, and we've got 1 Mark 84 down the center line, and we do have a bundle of rockets on the one pylon adjacent of our lightning pod. And you can see right here on our DSMS page all these weapons. So there's the Mark 84 down the center line. These are the empty pylons, because if you have something in the middle, you can't have anything directly next to it. And then we've got our 2 CBU 97s, which are a dumb drop cluster munition. Then you've got the 6 Mark 82s. You've got our M151 high explosive rockets, 2 AIM-9s, and this is our ECM pod. So what we're going to do is we're going to fence in for combat. We're going to go master arm on. We've already got our targeting pod and our laser turned on. We're going to leave the gun off because we're not going to use the gun for now. And we're going to select our Mark 82s just by clicking on both of them, and now they're ready to go. And they're set up as default CCIP and singles. So every time I depress the pickle button, it's going to drop 1 single bomb. So if I hit it twice, it's going to drop 1 off here and 1 off here, and it's going to just alternate between the two. If you look up here on our HUD, we now have symbology where it says manual release. It's got our Mark 82s. It's got everything listed here. You can see that we're on an altitude heading hold for our autopilot, and you can see that we are armed. Our navigation equipment is just our initial starting point. We don't have any nav points in here. You can see that we're going 232 knots, and we are at 15,770 feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to unpause, and we're going to roll over and roll into, you can see those barracks buildings right down there, those big white armed barracks buildings. We're going to drop some bombs on a couple of them in a single pass. And when I roll over and I get the symbology for CCIP dropping, then I'm going to pause the screen again so we can go over the symbology and show you what we're seeing. But so far we are fenced in. We're armed, we're ready, we're selected. We're going to unpause, and now we are flying.
Autopilot.
Alright, so we're just going to kind of slowly start turning into where our barracks are over there. And you can dive steep, you can dive not so steep. You just don't want to dive overly steep because you don't want your bombs to drift into your plane while you're coming down. So you probably want to stay somewhere between 40 and 25 degrees dive when you're doing a dive bomb. The computer is going to calculate. You do have a full GPS INS computer on this plane, so you're going to get good symbology. Your bombs are going to be pretty accurate on CCIP. So we're just kind of setting up. I'm looking right through here through the window at those barracks, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll the plane over and pull towards our targets. So here we go, we're rolling over, and now I'm gently pulling back on the stick just a little bit, and we're going to use the top of the HUD as our marker, and now we're going to roll back in. Now we have symbology, so let's pause it. So now you can see we're at a pretty steep dive, which I'm going to level off a little bit more as I start coming up to the target. This is our drop point. When we drop our bombs, they're going to attempt to be directly where you see this dot, but it's going to definitely be somewhere in this circle. This is the fall line. So you want to aim the fall line over the targets that you want to hit. We're going to try to drop our bombs on this first barracks building right here. You don't want to pull back really hard or violently. You just want to make it a nice steady pull up to start bringing your nose up so you're not too steep and get this symbology over that target. You don't want to pull too fast because then you're going to pull your symbology away from your target. It's going to go past it and that'll mess you up. But we're just going to slowly pull. We're going to drag this up over the target, and when we're in the right position, we're going to pickle off a couple bombs. We'll do 2 clicks. We'll get 2 bombs off and see what happens. And after we drop our bombs, we're going to gently start pulling back and away, and we're going to hit our program on our chaff and flare. So we're going to hit the Z to press on our CMS switch and run our E program, just because we might not know what's down there. After you drop your bombs, you're going to want to bring some chaff and flare out the back in case someone's got a stinger or something like that. It's just good, a good thing that you should get used to doing. So we're getting ready to unpause. One, 2, and you can see now we've got 2 and 2 instead of 3 and 3, and we're slowly pulling up. We're chaffing and flaring. Boom, right on target. Piece of cake, right? Piece of cake. So let's take a look at that road. You can see we've got a little cluster of, I think they were BMPs right over there. So let's come back around and let's go ahead and drop, or even better yet, you know what? Let's go for these T90s right here. Now, T90s are going to be hard to kill with just a Mark 82, but we're just going to go ahead and, because we're going to ripple off 4 of these. Now, you can go into the profiles and you can set up a ripple drop and all that and do it CCRP, but we're going to do it simple. We're just going to leave it the way it is, and we're going to drag that symbology across that line of tanks. And every time we're over a tank, we're going to click another bomb off and see how well we do. We're going to get 4 drops off this time. And this is something that you should just practice. Get used to flying around, get used to lining up on your targets, rolling into them, dropping your bombs. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with the plane. And the more comfortable you are, the better you're going to get at everything. And also the smoother and quicker you're going to do everything. Don't try to speed up. Don't try to get hurried. If you feel yourself getting hurried or panicked because of all the tasking you have to do inside this cockpit, then you need to slow down, make another pass, come back around. Never get frantic, because that's when you're going to make all the mistakes. Alright, so this time we're going to start rolling in already because we don't want to get too deep this time. So we're rolling across those tanks. We went below them. Now we're lining up at the top of the HUD, and now we're just going to slowly pull back a little bit. We're going to let our symbology start traveling up. And 1, 2, 3, 4. There's all 4 of them. And we're chaffing and flaring. Boom, 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 right across the line of those tanks. So that's exactly how easy it is to CCIP drop. The other thing, just so you know, after you select your bombs, it should choose the default method to drop those bombs. Like we'll select our, after I trim out, our CBU 97s here, and it's going to default CCIP singles. But another thing you can do is the master mode button that you should have bound, and you should know where it is and what it does now. The master mode selects what mode you're in. So if we just click it once, we're on gun mode. If we click it again, we're on CCIP. Again, CCRP. One more time, we go back to navigation mode. So that's what your master mode does. It cycles between those. So if you select some bombs and you want to try a CCRP and you have a mark on the ground, you can just cycle to it. And that's going to change the symbology and change your computer for that purpose. Also, just so you know ahead of time, the one other thing you can do with the master mode button is if you hold it down, you automatically go to air mode, which will automatically put your weapon systems to air mode, and it will also automatically select any AIM-9s you have selected. So we'll hold it down. You can see it goes to air mode, and it has selected our 2 AIM-9s. And that's in case something jumps you and you might have to defend yourself. You can just hold down that master mode to quickly switch to air mode instead of trying to reach down here, click on a thing. Also, selecting weaponry, you can see we have our HUD SOI'd and we haven't changed that because we don't need to SOI anything else right now. When your HUD is SOI'd, up and down changes your waypoint. Left and right changes the weapon you have selected. And the other thing about that is right now it's going to the default of those. If you set up a profile for a weapon, like you go into profiles, select that weapon and view the profile, and this is where you can set it up and go singles, pairs, ripples, all that stuff. You can set it all up in here and the mode, and you save it. Once you save a profile, we're not going to use it this time, but just so you know for future, once you save a profile, you can't click on the weapon. If you just click on it, it does the default. If you have a profile saved, you have to SOI the HUD, and then you have to use your DMS left and right to select the weapon. When you select the weapon using the DMS off the HUD, then it loads that profile. Again, we're not going to use profiles this time, but in the future, just remember, if you're going to make a profile for a weapons drop, you're going to set it up all ahead of time so you can just hit the button once and drop 2 or 3 bombs and ripple them and all that good stuff. To use a profile, you have to select the weapon using your DMS off of the HUD. You cannot click on the MFD over here to do so. Alright, so next, let's go ahead and drop these 97s. Now, 97s are not GPS guided, these are dumb bombs. So we're going to CCIP drop them, just like those Mark 82s. Now, right over here in that field, there was a whole bunch of troops. Let's go ahead and pause and see, yeah, right next to those factories, there's a whole bunch of troops. And there's also some BMPs right here. So let's drop on the BMPs, because CBU 97s are a skeet munition. So inside that tube is a whole bunch of little skeets. A skeet looks like a little hockey puck on a parachute. There'll be, the skeet will fling out and fling those little bombs. Those bombs will have their own detectors, and they're looking for a contrast target, almost like a Maverick Seeker head. So it'll be looking for tanks and stuff like that. And then it'll shoot a shaped armor penetrating charge. So these clusters are extremely effective against armor and just about anything else. Not necessarily buildings, but everything around those buildings, personnel, trucks, all that stuff. 97s are extremely good for that. 87s are just bomblets. It's just heat bombs. It'd be like dropping a bunch of little grenades. They're just going to hit the ground and explode. So they're good for anti-personnel, but that's about it. Most of the time I'm going to use 97s exclusively, or 105s, which is a 97 that's been upgraded as a GPS munition. So if there's a lot of wind, the 105 GPS guided bombs are going to get them on target through the symbology. Whereas if it's really windy and you're using 97s, if the wind's pushing everything to the right, then you're going to want to drop your bombs to the left, because they're going to come down on a parachute before they go off. So if you try to drop them directly on the target with a strong wind, they're going to get blown off to the side, and you'll just have to practice to get used to that. So let's go for these BMPs, and we're just going to drop this just like the Mark 82s. We don't have a whole bunch of wind here or anything, so we're just going to drop them right on top of them, and you'll get to see what these do in action. And they should have no problem taking out probably all of those BMPs. We're going to drop both CBU 97s. And we might even get some skeet charges over there towards those T90s that drove off the road. Which you can see, even without getting those T90s directly, we killed a few of them and we damaged the others pretty good. So that's not bad for just dropping 4 Mark 82s. So we're spotting our BMPs there. We see that little cluster of them. We're going to line up here to the right side of them because we're going to roll into them from the left. And again, we're going to get our target to the top of our HUD, and then we're going to roll into it and then bring our cursor up by slightly pulling back on the stick. You always want to pull back on the stick. You never want to push forward on the stick. That's negative G's, and you don't want to do that. Negative G's are bad. You're going to red out. We'll get into that in another video, but just remember, pulling back on the stick is the way to go, not forward. All right, so here we go. We got a good dive. We're going to pull back a little bit.
Pull up,
and drop. Both 97s are away. We're chaffing and flaring, and we're pulling out. Now these will take a little while to get down there because, like I said, they open up, and all these little parachutes are now going to fall down, and I can actually see some of them already. So here we go. 97s are going off. And that is our cluster munitions. You can see that you've got some more skeets that are getting a little bit farther out. Some of them hit some of the buildings. You can see those BMPs are all wrecked. They're all on fire. It looks like we probably got all of them. So you just dropped the 97 CCIP the exact same way you would a Mark 82. You just have to be mindful of the wind with a cluster munition like that uses the parachutes. So next weapon, let's go ahead and do a rocket run. We'll select our rockets. These are just your standard 151, so they're high explosive rockets. It's real simple. We'll just go CCIP here. And the symbology will come up on the HUD, and it'll look like a reticle just like the bomb reticle. We're just going to get that reticle on the target, and then we're going to wait. There'll be a ring on the inside of that reticle. So we're going to shoot some rockets into the tree line where those troops are. Right down there we can see all those troops in that field. So I'm just going to roll in, come off the throttle a little bit. There's our rocket symbology. You see that circle coming in now. That's your range circle. So you see when that starts moving in, you're in range to fire these rockets. If the thing is still completely full, you're a little too far away. So we're just going to hold down the pickle button.
Pull up, pull up.
I'm sorry, we're gonna release every time we fire. It's gonna be one
altitude.
Rocket depressed. So if you just wanted to fire 2 rockets into the line, you just click twice. If you want to fire them all, you just click them through. HE rockets won't do anything to a tank. Really light armor or trucks, they will damage them, maybe even destroy them. Personnel will take massive damage if a rocket blows up right at their feet. So it's good for personnel. There are other rockets like Heat that have more penetration power to do damage to light armor, but it all depends on the armor of what you're firing at. Rockets are not very good at any kind of armored target unless you're using something like a laser guided Predator rocket that is a penetrator head on it. Okay, now what we're going to do, so we can see the symbology for that. I don't know why my trim got so messed up. Okay, we're going to turn our gun on now. So if you go up, that's gun pack. You have to be careful when you turn the gun pack on, because then the whole plane is going to dip forward. Because what it's doing is it's setting the stick forward to try to help you with recoil. So when you have a 2-stage trigger and you arm the gun pack, the first stage is going to lock your reticle where you're aiming, and it's basically going to stabilize the plane. That way you can fire a burst directly on target. The second stage, after you have the first stage set, is going to fire the gun. I've only got a 1-stage trigger now because my HOTES blew up. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do regular. So we're going to arm the gun. We're going to use our master mode to select guns, and that's going to bring up a reticle on the screen. There's 2 different reticles. You can go into your special options in DCS and change which one you want. I use the gun cross and not the big circle because I don't want that big circle. Now, when you're firing the gun, I usually won't even fire a burst until I'm within 1.8 miles of the target. When the reticle goes up, you'll see underneath my gun cross, it'll have a range to the target that the reticle is looking at. I will start doing burst at 1.8. By the time I get closer to 1 mile, I'm going to start pulling out, because you don't want to get too close to your opponents, especially if they have guns. If there's stuff to shoot at you, you don't even want to get that close. So we're going to do some strafe on those targets in that tree line. So we're going to get our reticle on the front of the tree line near the factories, and then we're going to hold down the trigger and we're going to drag that reticle across that tree line and light them up. Give them a little burst. This is what everybody loves to do in the A10. And the rounds in the A10 are extremely effective. You can shoot trucks, light tanks, even heavy tanks, you can damage them. T90s not so much, but most other things you can do quite a bit of damage. So there's my gun reticle, my gun cross. You can see we're 1.6 miles, so I can go ahead and start lighting them up. You can see those rounds going all through that tree line. Now, just so you know, there's a barracks building there. Let's go ahead and come back around and we'll do a gun pass on one of those barracks buildings because they're made out of wood, and you can see the destructive power of the GAU-8 Avenger cannon. This is also our gun counter right here. You can see we have 960 rounds left. So you do have a lot of ammo in the A10 because the gun is such a tool. You're definitely going to spend that ammo. It's highly effective. It's going to be one of the best guns you're ever going to shoot when it comes to air-to-ground targets. You can hit air-to-air targets with it too, but it's a lot harder. But I've shot down many a enemy helicopter using the GAU-8 Avenger. It shreds them. It shreds everything. Alright, so let's shred this first barrack building.
Pull up,
and the next one.
Altitude.
You can see both those barracks buildings are now on fire, which means they are going to be destroyed. Now, we've got one more weapon on here, and that is our big Chongus Mark 84. So this is a 2,000-pound big bomb, but it is just a bomb. It doesn't have a penetrator head, it doesn't have a laser guidance tip on it, and it doesn't have a JDAM GPS kit on it. But, just so you know, the GBU-12s, the laser, and the GBU-10s, and all the laser guided munitions are just a Mark 82 or a Mark 84 with a laser guide kit mounted on the nose of it that's going to guide that missile. So it's got fins that articulate and a laser guidance tip on it, and that's how you make a laser guided munition. A JDAM is a Mark 82 or a Mark 84 that has a GPS guided kit on it. So it's got a GPS sensor on it, and it's got articulate fins. And we're not going to drop any lasers tonight or GPS, but just so you know, the Mark 82 and Mark 84 are the same bomb, they're just kitted out to make them better. So let's drop this Mark 84 on a factory. We're just going to do a CCIP. Let's go ahead and hit our master mode, CCIP. And we're going to roll into this. Now, when you're dropping a 2,000-pound bomb, you want to make sure you're not very close to the target when it impacts. So you don't want to dive down too close because the blast radius is quite big. Many people have been dive bombing in or doing a strafe run with their bombs, and they're a little bit too close to the target when that bomb hits. So we're going to gain a little bit more altitude. Watching our speed, we're getting a little slow at 175, so we're going to start bringing the nose back down and start rolling around. We're almost at 10,000 feet, so we've got plenty of altitude. So we're just going to keep rolling right on around until we come around to those factories. That first factory looks good to me. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll down onto it. We're going to get our... And we don't even have to do the full roll-in like I would normally do. We can just go like this. We're just going to get the HUD below the target. And we're going to roll into that target. There's our symbology. And... Pickle! Bombs away! Pulling back. One big explosion. So there you go. One factory, one Mark 84. So that is pretty much anything you need to know to get started with CCIP dropping. Get your bombs on your A10s and get to practicing. On the next video, we're going to get into lasers and JDAMs. We're going to do those both in the same video. And when we're done with that, you're going to be able to drop any bomb you want on any target you want. So you're getting there, folks. You're getting there, pilots. Keep up the good work. Get out there and become the best pilots you can possibly be. And I will see all you pilots in the skies. Thanks for watching.